I am Mata Nui. My original form was built on the world of Spherus-Magna more than 100,000 years ago. I was built to bring order back to my world and its people, but I lost my way. With the help of new and old friends, I have one final chance to fulfill my duty and my destiny. I found myself on the largest chunk of Spherus-Magna, which the survivors called Bara-Magna. Using the Mask of Life, I created a new, smaller body for myself and learned more about duty and friendship than I had in all the thousands of years of being a robot. Along the way, I discovered clues of how I might free my people who remained enslaved by Makuta inside my old body. Long ago, the world of Spherus-Magna was prosperous and serene. But the discovery of a powerful energy source at the core of the planet turned its people against one another. Warriors fought for different sides until the stresses of battle nearly tore the planet apart. Wise but fallible great beings constructed a giant robot, but the power source was unstable, and an explosion scattered parts of the metal giant across the face of the planet. Spherus-Magna's past could be my future. Only two things stand in the way of freeing my people: finding a way of fixing and powering the old robot, and getting permission to use it. I have a feeling neither will be an easy task. Following an Agori villager into the far north, I find him, as well as the object of my search, a massively energetic object that could power up the Bara-Magna robot. It's ancient and unstable, but it's also my only chance to redeem my people's suffering. Now for the hard part. Convincing the Glatorian and Agori to allow me to use their new mega village made from the failed robot that exploded eons ago. After all they have suffered, the last thing I want to do is take away their newfound security. But I must ask. The fate of my people rests on their answer. And I also suspect their own well-being depends on this broken-down robot shell. Learning from their mistakes, the great beings desperately constructed a new, larger robot. This machine was infused with an intelligence and mission to learn about the universe, and thus I awoke as the intellect of a giant robot. Smaller beings were placed inside me to maintain the inner workings. My earliest memories are of being activated on Spherus-Magna. Safety measures in the form of 6 Toa warriors were put into place, just in case of unforeseen disaster. Little did anyone realize how vital these 6 beings would be in saving countless lives. My construction was completed just in time. As I left my home planet, Energized-Protodermis leaked from the world's core and triggered a massive explosion that flung 2 huge chunks into orbit. These became the jungle moon of Toa-Magna and the ocean world of Aqua-Magna. The desert world that remained was renamed Bara-Magna by the survivors. The village elder has granted me use of the robot. My newfound power supply lets me take control, but I must constantly monitor and adjust the ancient systems. I have no Matoran to regulate this body. The Mask of Life helps me master it, but it is still desperately hard to control. Nevertheless, it feels good to once again control a powerful robotic body. Dimly, I can sense my old body standing on the water moon. Although I no longer control it, I know that battles rage throughout the robot that Makuta Pterodax now controls. The Toa and Matoran I ignored for so long fight in vain to free themselves from an evil I allowed to flourish. I must help them. But how? Makuta feels my attention, and I know he is bringing the fight to me. I must prepare quickly. First, I must send the tiny forms at my feet to safety. Then I must do the job I was built for, reuniting 3 worlds back into one. I can only hope this robot form and its power supply are up to the task. I spent most of my existence exploring other worlds, watching cultures evolve, measuring and analyzing the dance of stars and planets. After a time, I took the beings inside my mental body for granted, ignoring them and their constant squabbles to focus on the outside universe. This neglect would cost me, and my small workers, endless misery and pain. Inside my body, workers maintained machinery and repaired the damage and fatigue caused over tens of thousands of years. Most, like the Toa and Matoran, were content with their roles, but the Makuta dreamed of glory and power. My inattention gave them numerous opportunities to scheme and plot. Power surges through my body, out through my metal fingertips, and I begin the process of reuniting both moons with Bara-Magna. It is a tricky process, one that requires close attention. Even as I nudge the two moons onto their new paths, I feel Makuta racing closer. Time grows short. Desperately, I try to convince Makuta that we must work together, that we can save everyone and everything if we join forces. But as I feared, his insane lust for power overrides all logic. We both know we'll come to blows, and I am not certain if my new body can take the punishment. My old body is powerful, this new one unstable, but I must try. Before blows are struck, I sense familiar beings escaping from Makuta. Sparing a small bit of my attention, I watch brave Tahu and a strange Toa of Light fight their way free. They are followed by new yellow Rakshi. Makuta has been busy. Makuta attacks me, dragging up strength from both the Mask of Life and my unstable power supply. I am able to hold off this evil, but I cannot defeat it without damaging my people inside. This battle distracts me from reuniting Spherus-Magna, but unless I can defeat Makuta, it will all be for nothing. I only wonder how long my strength will last. As if there wasn't enough to worry about, now Makuta is attacking my Glatorian and Agori friends. I can't concentrate on that right now, no matter how desperate they are. But perhaps I can steer Makuta away from my friends scurrying at our feet. Finally, my journey drew to its close. As I traveled back to the planet of my construction to fulfill my final destiny, one ambitious Makuta attacked. Pterodax crashed my systems and sent my robotic body plummeting into the ocean moon of Aqua-Magna. There, I slept for 1,000 years. Automatic systems camouflaged my face, one of the only parts of my body above the waterline. A fake volcano was created along with lush jungles, icy mountains, deep lakes, deserts, and caverns. Toa brought Matoran workers to this island paradise and then transformed into Turaga leaders to guide the Matoran. Memories of being inside a robotic universe were erased from all but the Turaga. Makuta Pterodax had yet more plans. Not content with putting me to sleep, he schemed to eliminate his fellow Makuta and take over my massive robotic body. The sacrifice of brave Toa-Metru brought my body to life, but Pterodax stole my robot form before my consciousness awoke. I was flung out of my own body, imprisoned in the Mask of Life. I feel a strange tickle from within. It's the Mask of Life. I knew it had a mind of its own, and now it's doing something on the ground. I spare a moment of attention to see what is happening, and I see Tahu transformed. 6 pieces of golden armor materialize around him, and I recall this particular contingency plan. It's a brilliant strategy, and I hope Tahu will be able to make it work. My moment of distraction allowed Makuta to scatter the armor, and I see enemies picking them up. It's all I can do to fend off Makuta's attack. There's nothing I can do to help Tahu. Reluctantly, I focus back on Makuta, and I am forced to ignore the battle raging at my feet. Makuta Pterodax feels no hesitation in using all the power at his disposal. I, on the other hand, am limited in my concern for those on the ground below me. I dare not unleash my full power and risk their harm. My restraint is costing me, however, and Pterodax senses it. I cannot hold off defeat much longer. Despite my own near defeat, I spare enough time to see what Tahu has accomplished. Fortunately, he and his comrades have recovered the golden armor, and he is even now putting it on. Every bit of thought and hope I can give are focused on Tahu. He must succeed. No, my distraction is nearly fatal to everyone. Makuta raises his foot and prepares to grind his foes and even his own Rakshi into the ground. There's just one chance to save everyone. Even bent over and near defeat, I can feel a ripple of power as Tahu uses his golden armor to blast the Rakshi into oblivion. The Krata slugs driving Rakshi armor are turned into dust, and the empty warrior shells fall to the ground. Makuta senses the fate of his Rakshi and pauses in mid-stomp. That provides me just enough time for a final move. Summoning every bit of power I have left, I force my battered body up in a massive surge and hit Makuta in the chest. The timing is perfect. From behind him, unseen, the jungle moon brushes against Makuta's head with a crunch. Holding on, I swing his collapsing form away from my people. I watch, tired but content, as his lights fade. Makuta is gone. Exhausted, my sensors follow the path of both moons as they spiral into a crash exactly on course. Bara-Magna shakes with the twin impacts, and dust and water and vegetation cover the sky. Spherus-Magna is whole once more, but I have one final task to complete. With the Rakshi and the threat of Makuta both gone, I watch the remaining Paraka and Skrull surrender. Matoran, climbing out of my old robot body, join the Ogori, Toa, and Glatorian in looking at their new home. They have much to learn from one another, and already I can see groups coming together to help one another. With a final burst of power, I complete my destiny. The mask of life draws from the last of the power supply, causing vegetation to flourish. Waters seep to the surface, mountains rise, sand turn to fertile soil. The splendor that was Spherus-Magna blossoms once again, and I feel myself fading.